Welcome to the deep dive. Today we are wrestling with a problem that is just fundamental to massive scale logistics. How do you give real, thoughtful feedback to a workforce of, say, 10,000 people without completely burning out your managers? We're talking specifically about frontline positions, the warehouse associates who really keep everything moving. In a conventional system, when you hit that kind of volume, the whole thing just breaks.
Really does.
You get inconsistent feedback, reviews are months late, and the admin burden on managers is just crushing. The result is these generic, pretty meaningless evaluations.
And that's the brutal reality of scale. So our mission today is to unpack how some organizations are getting past that failure point. They're using generative AI copilots.
Right.
And this isn't just about automation. It's a tool to draft reviews at an impossible scale while, and this is the key part, still preserving the human elements. Things like personalization, fairness, and making sure it all aligns with business goals like speed and accuracy.
Okay, let's unpack that. When I hear 10,000 associates, I can't even picture the logistical nightmare. Why are warehouses so uniquely susceptible to this problem?
It really comes down to volume and velocity. In any modern warehouse, everything is measured.
Everything.
Throughput, accuracy, time on task, safety incidents. When you multiply all those metrics across tens of thousands of people, the manager isn't lacking data. They're drowning in it.
So the core metrics are pretty well defined then.
Oh, yeah. We're talking units moved per hour, pick accuracy, safety compliance audits, and of course, attendance. The data is all there.
So what's the bottleneck?
The bottleneck is human. It's the manager. A single manager might oversee dozens, maybe even hundreds of people. They just don't have the time or, frankly, the writing bandwidth to craft a unique, thoughtful review for every single person.
Yeah, we've all pictured that manager on a Sunday night trying to write 50 reviews, just fueled by coffee and anxiety. The quality has to suffer.
It has to. And when a manager's under that kind of pressure, what do? They start copy-pasting from last year, or they use these vague general comments.
Which is so demoralizing for the employee.
It's demoralizing for the associate, and it's totally useless for the organization.
So when we talk about this AI's role, what's the biggest misconception? Is the leap here that the AI is acting less like a typewriter and more like a data detective?
That is a perfect way to put it. The aha moment for people is realizing the AI's primary function is synthesis, not just writing.
Synthesis.
It's taking all that sprawling operational data units picked, errors logged, safety incidents, and it's mixing it with qualitative feedback from, say, a shift lead. It takes all that noise, and it outputs a coherent, structured draft.
So the manager is editing, not creating from a blank screen.
Exactly, which is a world of difference. That dramatically speeds things up.
Let's look under the hood for a minute. For, our listeners who are technically curious, where are these systems actually pulling the data from?
It's a pretty high degree of system integration. The copilots are basically sitting on top of three main data sources. First, you have the warehouse management systems, the WMS.
That's a real-time operational stuff.
Yep, your timestamps, your accuracy rates, all of that. Second, they pull from the HR platforms, the HRS, which hold all the structured employee data job history, training, compensation.
Okay. And the third?
The third, and this might be the most valuable, is input from internal feedback tools. Peer reviews or notes from a shift handoff. You really need all three layers to build a complete picture.
What's so fascinating to me is the role of the large language model in all this. It's not just running a calculation and saying, you're an 8 out of 10. It has to turn numbers into a human-readable story.
That's the core intelligence of the whole system. The LLMs are trained on successful review structures. They take a raw metric, let's say 98% picking accuracy for the quarter, and they translate that into a narrative.
So instead of the manager writing, John did a good job.
Exactly. The AI might generate something like, John maintained exceptional quality standards throughout Q4, specifically in the delicate electronics picking process during the peak holiday rush, achieving a verified accuracy rate of 98.2%.
Wow.
This consistency is a critical strength, minimizing returns and reducing damage costs.
Really?
It shifts the review from a vague judgment to actual data-backed evidence.
That makes the distinction so crucial. This is augmentation, not automation. The human step is still mandatory.
It has to be. The manager is the authenticator. The AI might see high throughput, but it misses the context. It doesn't know that the associate achieved that while also mentoring 3 new hires during a systems changeover.
The manager has to add that qualitative nuance.
They must. That's what keeps the review from becoming cold and just purely transactional.
Okay, let's pivot to the hard benefits because the business case for this really hinges on efficiency. How big are the time savings we're talking about here?
The time savings are massive. I mean, we are talking about reducing the drafting time for one review from maybe an hour and a half down to 15 or 20 minutes,
Just for editing and refinement.
just for high-value editing.
Yeah.
Now, if a manager is responsible for 50 people, you can imagine how that multiplies. The organizational time savings are just staggering.
But I have to ask, are we not just swapping one admin task for another? Is it really a net time gain? Or are managers now just spending all that saved time on quality control and, prompt editing to fix generic AI language?
That's a great challenge, and it's a necessary one. It's more of a shift in labor quality.
Mm.
They're moving away from low-value, repetitive drafting, which is just tedious to high-value work.
Like applying context.
Applying context, focusing on nuance, and actually formulating a coaching plan. The manager stops being an administrator of HR paperwork and starts being a genuine coach.
Okay, so beyond speed, let's talk about fairness. How does an AI help enforce consistency?
The consistency is, I think, maybe the greatest non-monetary benefit. Because the AI is governed by the same strict, centralized rubric and the same data, every single associate gets evaluated against the exact same standards.
So you get rid of the variability between managers.
You mitigate it, yeah. You avoid the situation where one manager is super harsh and another gives, flowery, unspecific praise for the exact same level of performance.
And that consistency, that leads us right into the strategic benefit. This isn't just about making reviews easier. It's about turning all that raw data into something actionable for the whole company.
For sure. Let's imagine a logistics firm has 15,000 associates across 5 huge distribution centers. Traditionally, that performance data is stuck in silos.
A manager at Site B only sees their own team's numbers. That's it.
Right. The AI, though, working at the enterprise level, can see patterns that no single human could ever spot. For example, it might highlight a trend that the error rate for associates handling fragile goods unexpectedly rose by 15% right after a new packaging process was rolled out 3 months ago.
Whoa, an insight that was completely buried before.
Precisely. And that's a systemic problem, not an individual performance issue.
Hmm.
So now HR and operations get this amazing insight that can inform training or process fixes instead of just punishing individual employees.
So the conversation shifts from, did this one employee mess up, to, is our process setting everyone up to fail?
Exactly.
That efficiency gain is incredible, but as always with AI and people, there's a complex shadow. Let's pivot now to the challenges, the things we can't ignore, the risks.
The most immediate risk is governance. We're dealing with models trained on historical data. And if that data contains historical bias,
Which it almost certainly does.
then the AI will replicate and maybe even amplify that bias in its output. If the input data is skewed, the AI will create a perfectly well-written review that is fundamentally unfair. It makes the injustice look credible.
And what about the output itself? The language? Does focusing so much on data just make the reviews feel cold, impersonal?
It can, yes. There is a very real tendency for the LLM to use generic language. While the AI is great at aggregating data, it has no empathy. It can't capture nuance like mentorship or someone being the backbone of team morale.
Right.
And this is why managers have to carefully edit these drafts to preserve that authenticity and acknowledge those subjective human contributions.
And of course, we can't overlook security. We're talking about deeply sensitive employee performance data here.
Data privacy is non-negotiable. It's paramount. Any system like this must operate within highly secure, protected systems. And it has to be designed to not expose personal data beyond what is absolutely necessary for that one review.
So if we step back, this all circles back to the manager's role. We've said it, but it bears repeating.
Yeah.
The human manager must have the final say.
Absolutely. The AI is an assistant. It is never the decision maker.
The accountability has to be clear.
It has to rest squarely on the manager's shoulders. Technology is a powerful tool, but governance has to remain human.
Okay, this brings us to the roadmap. For any organization listening that wants to do this responsibly, what are the best practices? How do you manage those risks?
We can break it down into 5 necessary steps. Step 1. Before you even turn the AI on, you have to define crystal clear performance rubrics.
So the AI knows what good actually looks like for your business.
Exactly. It needs to be aligned to your key metrics, accuracy, safety, whatever they are, not just some generic best practice.
And step 2 is data quality. The old classic.
Garbage in, garbage out. You have to feed it high-quality, structured data. That means making sure the operational metrics are accurate, peer feedback is structured, and you include context, like recent training history.
The richer the data, the better the output. And step 3, that focuses on the manager, right?
Right. Manager training is vital. They need to be trained in what we call prompt editing.
Prompt editing.
It's teaching them how to refine, challenge, and contextualize the language the AI generates instead of just clicking accept. They learn how to inject those specific anecdotes that make it authentic.
So that's the new administrative skill. What's step 4?
Step 4 is continuous monitoring. You have to proactively compare the AI outputs across demographics, shifts, sites. If you spot a consistent bias, say, female associates are always getting feedback on collaboration, while male associates get feedback on proactivity, you have to intervene immediately.
And finally, the step that keeps everyone on board, transparency.
Yes. Step 5 is being fully transparent. Associates need to know upfront that AI assisted in the drafting, but that their direct manager reviewed, edited, and finalized the content. It preserves that critical human relationship.
So if we look at the real-world implications, the benefit is clear. Faster, fairer, more insightful reviews, and it really seems to change the manager's role for the better.
It does. And as these AI models get better, the co-pilots will become even better assistants. This shifts the manager's time even further away from admin tasks and toward the highest value interactions.
And that means what in practice?
It means the manager is freed up to focus on interpreting the strategic insights the AI finds and on the personal development conversation itself. They spend less time writing about what happened and more time coaching on how to improve.
They become true coaches.
That's the goal. The takeaway here is that efficiency at this kind of scale is no longer impossible. But success hinges completely on combining AI assistance with human judgment, transparent processes, and responsible governance.
That clarity is invaluable. But this leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider. If the AI eliminates the manager's worst administrative burden, does that finally free them to spend their time on genuine coaching and empathy? And in doing so, fundamentally redefine the quality of leadership in the frontline world? The real test is whether we use all that saved time to truly humanize the workplace, not just speed it up.